Hey guys, Jason Creel, and it is fall. And so what does that mean? A lot of times people think, well, it's fall, you know, my grass is kind of turning, losing the color a little bit. The weeds are dying on their own, so I don't really need to do anything from a weed control standpoint to my lawn. But you know what? That's a misconception, and I wanted to tell you in this video what I am applying to my customers' lawns this fall. Stay tuned. Okay, so it's fall. Yeah, it's true. The grass is not growing as much. And let me just start by saying I deal with warm season grasses. So we're talking about bermuda, zoysia, centipede, and St. Augustine. So I don't deal a lot with the cool season grasses, which can continue to grow in the cooler weather. But for us in the south, our grasses are starting to move towards this transition period where they will go dormant throughout the winter. So in the fall, what do you mean? So what do you need to do? What does your lawn need? Well, let me give you a couple things. One, as far as your weeds go, you think, yeah, because I have people, they'll say, well, my yard's full of crabgrass, and it's kind of late summer, early fall. And I tell them, you know what, at this point, if it was me, I would just let it go. I mean, as soon as you get a frost, the crabgrass is going to die. Even as we transition before frost, we get some cooler nights, it's going to greatly slow down in how fast it's growing. So it's not as big of an eyesore as it is, say, here in Alabama. Like July and August, it looks terrible. As it get into September, it starts slowing down in its growth. It's not as ugly. So I tell people, just let it go this year, let it die out, and we'll try to prevent it with a pre-emergent next year. Now, if you had crabgrass, in April and May, well, at that point, let's try to do something about it so you don't have to live with it this whole summer. So, but what about, it's sort of a misconception to think, okay, my weeds are dying, so, and I don't have weeds in the wintertime, so, I don't have to do anything to my lawn. Well, that's not true. Let me break this up into two categories. You have your warm season weeds and you have your cool season weeds. Okay, so your warm season weeds, we think about crabgrass and all the things we see in the summertime, spurge, and I've done some videos lately showing off a lot of different weeds that you're going to see in your lawn in the summer. Well, those weeds are going to begin to die out and you won't see them again until next year, for the most part. Now, the cool season weed, but the problem is these cool season weeds, about the time the warm season weeds are dying out, is when the cool season weeds are just now beginning to germinate. Now, you may not start seeing them, at least in abundance, until the following year. Let's say in my area, it's around February, March, you're going to really start to see a lot of cool season weeds in yards that have not been treated. So, what do we do about those? Well, just like we want to put out a pre-emergent in the springtime or early in the year, so I've started put out pre-emergent in January, February, March to prevent a lot of those summer weeds, those warm season weeds like the crabgrass and that sort of thing, because those are germinating in my area around March. In the same way, you got your cool season weeds that are germinating in the fall, usually September, October range. So I need to put a pre-emergent out in the fall to prevent these cool season weeds. Okay, does that make sense? You got to understand, cool season weeds, warm season weeds. Cool season weeds germinate in the fall. I need to put my pre-emergent out before they germinate. Warm season weeds germinate in the spring. I need to put my pre-emergent out before those germinate. So it's very important. In my area, with these warm season grasses and these kinds of weeds, I need to have pre-emergent both times a year, okay? So, when I'm starting to put out a pre-emergent for my customers on their lawns. So, what I wanted to do in this video is I wanted to show you, I thought that was worth explaining to you why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I want to actually show you what I'm spraying on the lawns. So, not just putting out a pre-emergent, I'm also putting out 2 different post-emergents mixed in with the pre-emergent, and when I spray the lawn, I'm spraying all three of those products at the same time. So I'm going to show you the three products I'm spraying, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what they do. First thing I want to do, I want to crank up the engine on my tank sprayer, and I want to show you the churning of the water in my tank, and then I'm going to talk to you about what's in the tank, each individual product, and what it does. Alright, now it's important when you are filming what's in the tank that you don't drop your camera in the tank. Very important. Alright, so you see here is the yellow mixture. Now, I've got about 300 gallons in the tank right now. If there was less water in the tank, you could see that it's being turned by a big paddle wheel in there. This is what's called mechanical agitation on the tank. So I have a pulley and a pump, and there's a big paddle wheel spinning in there that keeps it all churned up and mixed, you know, evenly. So you don't want your product that you're spraying to be unevenly distributed throughout the water. You know, you don't want it settling on the bottom, so it keeps it agitated. So, all right, let's put the lid back on there. I just wanted to show you that. It's yellow because one of the products is yellow. You can see that wheel spinning, and that turns the big paddle wheel inside the tank. Okay, so what's in the tank? I've got 4 different things in the tank. So I'm going to show you in no particular order. But this is, you see, I buy a lot of stuff from Harold's as my supplier. This is just the surfactant. So this, when you hear people do a homemade kind of weed control product or whatever, they're using dish soap. Well, this is the you know, the purpose of the dish soap is to help whatever you're spraying to stick to the plant. So this is what the surfactant is. It helps all of the chemicals that are in the tank stick to the plant so that the plant will take them in and that they'll have the desired effect on that plant. Okay, so you put the surfactant in there. Actually, there is going to be a little bit of an order to it. So let's start with this product. This is Resolute. You can. This is the one that turns the yellow. It's got a yellow color to it. The active ingredient is prodiamine. So Resolute is generic. Barricade is another product, but it has that active ingredient prodiamine. So this is the pre-emergent that I'm applying to a lot of lawns this fall. The idea is in the fall, like I said, we're trying to prevent those cool season weeds that you might not see till next January, February, March. One of the main ones being Poa annua, or otherwise known as annual bluegrass. You're going to see a lot of things like henbit, weeds like that. So this Resolute can keep those weeds from germinating in your lawn. So, and then speaking of the Poa annua, I said, you know, so you use the Resolute. The idea is that you're hoping that you can get the Resolute down before the Poa germinates. But sometimes you got a lot of customers, you might be late. Some of the Poa's germinated already and some of it hadn't germinated. So you might get a lot of it with your pre-emergent. But we also put this in here. This is Princep. It has the active ingredient simazine, and so the idea is that hopefully this Princep, if there's any Poa that I miss with the pre-emergent, hopefully that this Princep will get it. And so, you know, with the combination of those two, hopefully I won't have a lot of Poa in the yard. And then the other product is this is just 2,4-D. Maybe a lot of you probably heard of that. So the idea is with the 2,4-D that we're trying to, and by the time I'm applying this, you still have some leftover warm season weeds. You have the spurge, you have stuff in the lawn that's like biennials, like dandelions, stuff like that. So any broadleaf weed, whether it be a leftover warm season weed or a cool season weed that has already germinated, you know, the hope is that the 2,4-D and the Princep with the Simazine can get a lot of those from a post-emergent standpoint, while at the same time the Resolute or the prodiamine can help prevent a lot of those cool season weeds from a pre-emergent standpoint. So this is what a lot of lawn care companies do. They may not use these exact same products, but probably some type of combination of pre and post-emergent application that they're doing on the lawns in the fall. Like I said, I'm dealing with warm season grasses in the south. We're talking about lawns that are going dormant throughout the winter. And so this is what the application, what I'm typically doing around September, October time frame. So hope this is helpful. If you're a lawn professional and you do applications, and I'd like to, if you want to tell me some of the products you've used or some of the weeds you're struggling with, I'd love to hear that in the comments. If you hadn't done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and continue to provide helpful content to you. Thanks a lot.